Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Horse Center. We are braving the hurricane down here in Tampa Bay Downs, but I am Wild Jamie, and with me is my amazing co-host, Swiss Army Sean, and our special guest tonight. Oh, you can't hear us? Oh, no. Sean, let her know to click out and click back in.
Go out.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Sometimes our technology fails us. My internet has been very spotty anyway with this hurricane coming in. So hopefully we'll be able to keep it together here. But I will just let you know about our special guest tonight, Miss Roxanne Turner. She is the paddock analyst and also racing ambassador for Louisiana Downs. Very cool job. Oh, still nothing.
No, I texted her, and it's Roxanne Turner.
Roxanne Turner. Did you maybe show her your phone? There we go.
There we go. We didn't go over that. Every time we go over that, we're good.
Every time. You would think she texted in the private chat as well. I can't hear you. Poor thing. I know, Sean. How could we forget? Yes, guys, we always warn our guests that if they can't hear it, oh, here she comes.
Look at that. Real quick.
There we go.
Success!
Yay! Wonderful.
Third time's a try.
Right? Yes.
Third time's a try. Our perfect go.
We got it together. But I was just letting everyone know exactly what it is that you do. And I have to say, I really enjoyed researching this episode. You seem like a lot of fun. I was going through your social media, your Twitter, your TikTok, and I was having a great time. So super excited to have you on the show tonight. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I mean, this is fun. I think we're all ambassadors in our own way. So it's fun to kind of have you guys be a part of my ambassador world as well.
Yes, and that's something I wanted to ask you about, actually. What exactly does a racing ambassador do?
Well, at this point in time, I think the question is, what doesn't a racing ambassador do?
Fair enough.
I mean, everybody knows that the sport of horse racing needs people to get it out and about. Like, y'all are doing a great job. Horse racing today is getting conversations going with people that we normally don't talk to on a given day, jockeys, trainers, breeders. And the role of a horse racing ambassador for, I guess, Louisiana Downs racetrack is to try to educate people as well, talk to them, introduce them to the faces of the racing game, if you will, and just kind of teach people how to bet horses, because I think that does scare people away, but just talk horse racing.
I love it. That is so cool. So how did you get your start in racing? It looks like you've actually done a lot of different things in the industry.
I have. So I grew up in it. My dad was a kind of an ambassador in his own sense as well. So he trained. He's a breeder. We've owned horses growing up. We always had the two brood mares out in the pasture. And whenever they go to the Keeneland sale, it was always Roxanne trekking over to the pastures to feed them. But yeah, my mom and dad tried to keep me out of horse racing, but they did a horrendous job. So as soon as I graduated college, I was like, bye, y'all. And we ventured out and about in the horse racing game. So, yeah, I grew up in it. My dad taught me a lot of great stuff, and he still teaches me every day. He's the first person I call in the morning and the last one I talk to at the end of the day. So we have a good convo every day about what's going on in the industry.
I love it. So what brought you to Louisiana Downs?
Well, long story short, so as you mentioned earlier, I've done a number of jobs. I've worked on the backside. I have worked for a veterinarian. I spent about 8 years at Churchill Downs working for a practice there, and then went to Prairie Meadows and spent about 1.5 years there as a mutual supervisor. Worked at Oaklawn Park for a couple of years doing a couple of different roles. And it was COVID. And so it was one of those odd things. It's kind of like nobody was really wanting to bring in new faces at the time. The job market was kind of slow. And one of the girls that I had worked with at one of my old vet practice, she had a friend that was just starting her new practice herself, and she kind of needed help getting started. So I ventured down to Bossier City where her practice is based, and the rest is history.
Awesome. I love it. You've been to so many racetracks. So which one is your favorite? Hopefully your bosses aren't watching.
You know, my boss, Kevin, and I'll tell you a quick story about how I got my job with Louisiana Downs. Long story short, Louisiana Downs was purchased back in November of 2021. They took over ownership from the former owner, Caesars. And I saw an article on Twitter, and so I sent him a direct message on Twitter. I said, hey, I said, if you're hiring, I'm kind of looking, to expand my horizons, if you will. And long story short, one DM turned into multiple DMs, and the rest is history. Awesome. And so now, as far as racetracks go, I love Keeneland. I mean,
right.
It's just gorgeous, picturesque, and I will say I spent a lot of great summers at Arlington Park. That was kind of my second track to venture up to after Oaklawn, which I grew up at, and Arlington holds a special place in my heart.
Awesome. Yeah, love it. Really sad to see that one close its doors. Scary time.
It's crazy. I mean, this day and age, a drop of a hat we can lose a racetrack, so. Yeah. Never would think we would have to worry about that in this business, but I guess it's something we have to concern ourselves with.
Yeah, I think that's awesome that your boss in Louisiana Downs did what they did with hiring you, because there's so many tracks that you can reach out to them and try to do something like you, and they would just say no, they don't need it or whatever. So I think it's awesome what they're doing with you.
It's fun. Every day is something new and different. The first year I worked here, it was getting to know the horsemen and getting the public to know the horsemen and the horsewomen. And it's been fun kind of making new friends and family with the Louisiana Downs racing community. And so it's been a great job thus far.
And now you're on FanDuel TV every week too.
I am. It's amazing. Tom Cassidy, I met him at the Racing Symposium back in December, and I said, what does it take to get a girl on TVG, FanDuel Racing? And lo and behold, here I am. So one question, let's do it. So
what's your favorite part about Louisiana Downs?
The people. So there's a couple of horses, obviously, I love, but, we have a great community. We do quarter horses in the wintertime, and then thoroughbreds obviously in the summertime, and we keep our track open actually year round as a training center. Steve Asmussen, Joey Foster, they all keep strings here during the downtime, so we all kind of build this bond throughout the year, and it's been great getting to know the horsemen and horsewomen that make up the racing product here within the state of Louisiana.
And I don't know if everybody knows or remembers, but when we had the Outriders Laverne's on, Roxanne was the one that made that happen.
One thing, Willie, he's our head outrider here at Louisiana Downs, and in my eyes is one of the best outriders in the country. Him and his brother Colby do an amazing job. But, Willie had one morning mentioned, your show and said, I would like to get on it with my brother. And I said, if you want, I'll see what I can do. So I'm all about helping people. If there's something they want to do with their career, kind of broaden their horizon. If I have an in or, if I can find an in, I'm going to find it for them and try to get them taken care of. Because I think that's a good way to get people out and about and learn more about what horse racing is all about.
Very cool. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sean.
Well, I was going to say, let's talk about the current meet and what's going on and everything in Louisiana.
Well,
you're winding down here, right?
We are. We've got literally 2 weekends left of racing. We are actually capping things off this Saturday, kind of with our biggest race card of the meet with our Super Derby. But we've had a very good meet this year. We've shown good signs in our handle. We're still not Churchill Downs or Ellis Park or any of those big tracks, but we're starting to get there. We're trying to get our product out and about more so, and we've had a great kind of follow up with people coming back to us, watching the racing, and it's been fun. But our meet, I will tell you, the jockey race is coming down to the nitty gritty between Jose Guerrero and Joel Dominguez. One rides for the top trainer, Shane Wilson, that's Jose, and then Joel Dominguez rides first call for Steve Asmussen. So they've got two great outfits behind them, and so I think it's literally going to come down to the last day of racing.
And you have a fun jockey colony too, because not only those two, but you have Aubrey Green, Angel Suarez, who are popular here on Horse Racing Today, and you also have Calvin Burrell, a former Kentucky Derby winner. Yeah.
You know what? It's interesting because we have a lot of married duos within the Louisiana racing culture here. So you mentioned Aubrey and Angel. We also have Devin Mayon and Riley Mayon, the trainer. Then Renee Burrell, the trainer, and then obviously Calvin Burrell. It was funny. I said we had the holy trinity of Burrells this meet because Cecil actually claimed a horse and they ran a horse. And so we had all the Burrells and finished second, unfortunately. And then the horse got claimed. But it was kind of cool to see all the Burrells in the paddock at once. So good times.
That is fun. We've got a fun question here as well. I'm kind of curious about this. So K9 Striker wants to know, does Louisiana Downs have a track gator? Do they?
There is a myth that we have a retainer pond on the backside, that there are 2 alligators back there. I can't confirm or deny that they're back there because I have not seen them, but I've heard rumors, and I am not going near there to find out if it is true.
So you're the racing ambassador, not the gator ambassador.
So you're not going to do the MythBuster thing and try to find out for us?
I might send over somebody else to be the MythBuster person. So I'm going to steer clear.
Fun fact, we have a track gator here at Tampa Bay Downs also. So Louisiana doesn't have the gator market cornered. So we've got another great comment here. I love Louisiana Downs, still learning about everything there, but love the atmosphere. You got a lot of fans in this chat here. We've got a few different comments. Christopher D'Souza says, love listening to your picks. And then we've just got starry eyes, all kinds of fun stuff. So I love that. So what is your typical day like?
Oh, geez. So typically I try to get over to the track about 7:30, 8 o'clock, give or take. Sometimes I will get up extra early just because you've got that early morning wake up time ingrained in your brain. You know, you spent so many years getting up at, 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning to go get stalls done or early feed and stuff. So I'll still get up early, and I like to go watch morning training. It's a good way to, look at horses and talk to all the people. Joey Foster and Shane Wilson are always great to conversate with in the mornings, and Joey usually buys breakfast, so you can't knock that.
There you go.
But and then I try to make my way over to the track, and besides doing the afternoon handicapping, I do a couple of other things with our marketing team, trying to make sure, everything, our programs are ready, trying to make sure all of our advertisements are out and about, working with our graphics team, and try to build, whatever else, talk with sponsors, and just a really busy morning. And then also try to get, obviously scratches and whatever changes I can up on Twitter. And then usually I try to get the card handicapped by at least 1 o'clock. So 1 o'clock is always my goal, to get all my races picked and hope that we don't come off the turf. So we've been fairly lucky. And then usually around 2:30, 3 o'clock, I walk over to the racing office and we kick things off with our live race card. So, and then I stay in the paddock for the rest of the day.
Yes. So as the paddock analyst, give us some hot tips. What do you look for in a horse when they get to the paddock?
Well, it's been a good learning experience. I always said I wanted to do every job in horse racing to kind of get that.
You're getting there.
It's true. And so I did. I started off working for Terry Wallace at Oaklawn Park. That was my first job. And so I told him, when I was fixing to venture to Arlington Park, I said, I just want to do it all. So that way I can run a racetrack and, be president and whatnot. And so, and we'll touch on that in a couple of minutes about that one. But, this year I went to my boss, or she came to me and said, hey, would you like a microphone for the thoroughbred meet? You go down to the paddock enough, you talk horses enough. Do you want to talk about it on the simulcast broadcast? And I said, sure. So it's been a fun experience, still learning, trying to get there. You see all these different people, whether it be Gabby Gaudette, just trying to think of all of them off the top of my head, and I'm drawing blanks, go figure. But Kaiten Bradar, Ashley, what is it,
Mayu. Yep.
Mayu, yeah. And so trying to learn and see what they do, and just try to kind of, because I think they're great, and so trying to learn just how to conversate. You're sitting there kind of talking to yourself, but you're not. You're talking to whomever's tuning into the races that day. So it's been a great learning experience. And the kick in the pants for me is when a horse walks over to the paddock that I haven't seen, and I'm looking down on paper and I'm like, that horse looks great. I said, why did I not pick it? And so now I've tried to say, oh, just on site, paddock pick. It's come and helped me out a couple of times, but that's the one thing I've had to learn is to wait until I get into the paddock to make my picks.
Very cool. Now, I did not watch racing yesterday because I was doing hurricane prep, but we've got a comment here, so you can let me know if this is something that you had pointed out. Yesterday at Louisiana, race 7 winner was $106. Time to move.
Yeah, so I think it was Chance Blanchett had shipped in 2 horses that day, and this horse, I honestly took a gander. Yeah, the horse he had prior, I think it was the 4th or 5th race. It was a 12 that I had drawn into the field because it was off the turf. He had drawn in. So that one ended up being a price because the favorite ran 3rd. And so he won that one. And I was lucky enough I had him picked 3rd. So I at least had some saving grace in that race. And but in the last race, that horse ran a heck of a race and paid huge. And we've had some really huge prices this meet as well.
Awesome. Very cool.
Was there anything on that horse that you could look back and go, okay, I just missed this? Or
I honestly don't think so. Honestly, I probably would have never. I don't think I would have given that horse a look. I mean, it was one of those things. Sometimes you automatically toss, when making your picks and your tickets. And I try to look between the lines. I like those troubled lines, but also like to look at the connections. That's how I've always done well with my picks. And my dad always taught me, look at the horse in the paddock. Try to, gather what information you can from just, the horse's mentality and the horse's demeanor coming up. And so that's been a great asset in handicapping the races here.
How many replays are you watching? Are you doing a lot on notes and memory?
A lot of notes and memory. I will look back on horses like I haven't seen here yet, and I'll try to go back and watch those, knowing that, they've been down at Evangeline or over at Lone Star, because I think you can learn a lot. Horses they can't talk, but obviously we can watch and listen and see what we can understand from their races, whether it be a bad break or maybe a slow break. What did that trainer do after that race? Did he work the horse? Did he, maybe I always like to ask them, I said, did you school that horse a little bit after that bad break? And, he broke a little step slow. And they're like, yeah, I did, Roxanne. How did you know? And I'm just like, spot on. So it's always fun to talk to the trainers before the races. And but yeah, I do like to watch game film.
Very cool. We have got a question here from one of our regular viewers who we love and adore. Grandma Horse Racing has a filly on filly theory that basically girl trainers or girl jockeys will do better with fillies and mares than men do some of the time. And she's made a lot of money betting this. Do you think that there is any credence to this theory?
I think there is, I think there is some truth behind that. They always say that females kind of have the soft hands, if you will, and kind of have maybe a little bit more patience. And we have Aubrey, who's really good from the gate. She's really good at hustling horses, getting them out, and they're showing a little bit more so than what they might have in previous races. And I think, she rides a lot for Cesar Govea. She's rode a couple for Joe Duhan here of late, and she's ridden them perfectly to a T. So I think Aubrey has got that market cornered with a horse that, needs those patient hands, those steady hands. And then as far as female trainers, I got to work for a trainer. She's not a trainer anymore, but Lee Bentley was one of my first barn jobs in Chicago. And she was great. She had a lot of information. I grew up under my dad's kind of tutelage, but when I ventured over to Lee, she was great and kind of teaching me, different things about horses that maybe my dad didn't have all the info on, so to speak.
Very cool. Love that. So I have to ask, you are in Louisiana. What is your favorite food?
I mean, when crawfish season's here, I love me some crawfish.
Okay.
The kicker is it's just finding a good spot. I don't mind trekking down to New Orleans and having to get me some good eatings down there. I try to make a couple of trips during our wintertime to go down to New Orleans, and it's a perk that the boss has season tickets to the Saints. So,
there you go. Okay. Who dat?
Yeah, exactly. So made a couple of trips down this year, and but yeah, the food. Whew, you come to Louisiana and you think, oh man, I've had gumbo before. No, you haven't.
No.
Jambalaya, all of it. Yeah, boudin balls. It's all here. So it's been a great learning experience traveling the state and figuring out who's got the good Cajun food around here.
I agree completely. I think there is no better food in the country than Louisiana. My husband and I go to Louisiana every year for racing, but really it's just for the food.
Yeah, see, the struggle then. And then you always got to hit up Cafe Du Monde. I mean, it's pretty much sugar on bread, but it's great. I mean,
yeah, that sounds perfect.
Yeah, it's great. So I had my first beignet this year and it was great. Of course, I'm a diabetic too, so it's probably not the best food. Yeah, so
that is a real temptation.
Yeah, so needless to say, Roxanne had to watch her blood sugars the rest of the day.
Sure.
So you mentioned about the Super Derby coming up on Saturday. Touch base on that field a little bit.
So this field is this is our first race back since the new ownership took over, and so we've had 3 years without this race, and we're still trying to figure out the right time of the meet to host this race, and I think the field we have is a great building field, if you will, and so we've got a couple of state horses, if you will, kind of local. Dane Noel, who's kind of slowly coming into his training career. He's got 2 horses for Donegal Racing, obviously the top trainers in the country. Steve Asmussen brought in How Did He Do That, the Iowa Derby winner. And then Brad Cox has one that's on the improve, obviously a maiden winner and allowance winner, and now facing stakes foes. And so we've got a really kind of diverse field, if you will. We've got a stakes winner in the field, but then we've also got a maiden, and then we've got horses that are, testing the stakes company water, so to speak.
Do you have your pick ready? I'm not telling you to give it out here because you got to give it out on the show. But do you have your pick ready? Do you have your pick ready?
I've got a good clue. I'll say that. So, as we talked about game film, I do want to watch back. So there's a Florida shipper with big data. Mike Learman shipped that one in from Gulfstream Park, and he looks like a horse that's got a lot of ability, but I want to watch some of his races to see, we're going 1.8 miles distance, and so that'll be his first time kind of spreading his wings that far. He's gone 1 mile. But there's a lot of horses that I'm curious to see how speed ends up playing a factor in this race. So I want to watch back some of their races, see if maybe they can come off of a stalking trip. So I like to see that kind of aspect as well, kind of map the race out if possible.
And that jockey, I'm not going to pronounce it right in my head, but he ships from Gulfstream, Ebzel Haramila. I'm horrible.
Yeah, that's not right. I'm sure that's not right.
No, not right. It's not right at all. Roxanne, please help me. But that's got to mean something too, that he's shipping there to take this mount.
And he arrived Tuesday, so he'll have his first day on the track tomorrow morning. So hopefully get a chance to catch him and see kind of what he looks like and see what kind of a personality he has. That's the fun part about horses, is the personality aspect. Whether they're a joker or whether they're just, mean and bitter but love their job, those are always fun because they all have different personalities, and that's one of my favorite parts of the business.
Okay, so that brings us to a great question. K9 Striker, this is a genius question. Why didn't I think of this? Who is your favorite horse that we've probably never heard of, and what makes them your favorite?
Oh, geez. I got to work for Rudolph Brissett. I worked for him for about 8 months in Kentucky one year, and he had a horse by the name of Burning Daylight. And he just wasn't. He was a cool horse to be around in the barn. He didn't have a care in the world. He would stand and watch the world and kind of look at it through his view, and that was kind of always a fun part of being around him. And so I don't know, whatever happened to him, I think he was sold ultimately, I think, or claimed. And after they moved the winter meet, I went to Oaklawn. Rudolph sent horses to Tampa and I think Fairgrounds that year. But he was such a cool horse. I just loved his personality. And he had one other that was an Arkansas bred, Mattapan. I called her Maddie. She was a really fun horse as well, too. She ended up getting claimed and ended up in the barn of Izzy Gonzalez. And now she's a mama, so I've gotten to see some of her babies. And it was so cool. She always used to come in the morning. I'd see her. I'd say, Maddie, Maddie. And she'd lick my face. And so horses are so unique. She was so caring, though. You could tell she was going to be a good mom.
I love that. And we've got another great question here. I'm telling you, we got to get Canine Striker and Grandma Horse Racing on the payroll here. Doesn't pay great, but Grandma Horse Racing.
Also. Yeah. You're on the payroll.
Yeah, you're on the payroll. Grandma Horse Racing says, I've never been good at picking shippers. How do you pick a good shipper, and does climate have anything to do with it?
We do get quite steamy down here. A couple of weeks ago, we were hitting triple digits as far as temperature goes. Yeah, so it was one of those things where we were all definitely walking away needing a little extra deodorant in the morning. So. But it was one of those things, I think horses, obviously Florida a little bit different. I've never been, so I'm assuming, but
Oh, you gotta come on down. Let me know when you get here.
We do a thing during the down season called Roxy on the Road, and so we've already got a couple of things penciled in. So we might have to go down to your next.
Yes. Oh, that would be wonderful. Let me know, please.
For sure. But as far as the climate goes, we've got Brad's horse coming in from Ellis Park, and I think Asmussen's horse is also shipping in from Ellis. And that's kind of similar, I would think. Just from my experience, it's been pretty hot there as well, and humidity. And so it is a different kind of hot down here, but I think these horses, they prepare them well enough to be acclimated to it more or less.
Okay, very good.
I would ask you how the weather is looking for Saturday, but being like 70 hours away, it's going to change probably how many times, right?
I mean, we're looking good right now. I think we're going to be about mid-90s. At least that's my hope for the hair. No humidity. But yeah, we had some really pleasant days this week. So I'm hoping it stays that way.
Very cool.
No rain in the forecast.
We've been getting a lot of that here. Canine Striker says, we'll work for dog treats. In that case, you're in.
Come on now. I'm all about it. I love me some puppy love.
So what other jobs do you want to do in horse racing that you haven't done?
So as I kind of hinted on it, but back when I was working in Chicago at Arlington Park, I was kind of doing a dual role. In the mornings, I was working for trainer Lee Bentley at the time, and I was learning to pony because I'd never really done anything horseback. But in the afternoons, I would go and work the press box. So I was navigating two different worlds, as they said. And so, long story short, I walk into the press box one day. I still had my boots and spurs on, and came in, and there was these people sitting there, and I'm stocking the fridge before I would go and change into my business attire. And they all came up, or one of the ladies was like, "So what do you do?" And I explained it to her, and she goes, "Well, hi, I'm a producer for Undercover Boss." And I said, "Oh." She goes, "Can we come out and film you in the morning?" And I said, "Sure. If you want to come back." I was like, "Okay." And so my boss was like, it's just some reality show. We don't know what it is technically. And so one thing led to another, and they ended up coming back a couple weeks later and filmed. And lo and behold, I made the final episode of the first season of Undercover Boss, the Churchill Downs episode.
Oh gosh, I want to check that out. That's so cool.
And I said I wanted to be president of Churchill Downs, and so we'll see if that ever sticks. But if that comes back around, but I spent 8 months at Churchill, learned a lot. Got to, my office at the time was right next to the Twin Spires. It was great, and so it was a good experience. My first year at Churchill Downs, and so after that, that was kind of the reward was a job at Churchill Downs for 6 months, and so I parlayed that a little extra. And
Nice.
then moved on, but it was fun. It was something to put on the resume, so to speak.
Oh, yeah. And Grandma Horse Racing says, I'm Googling that. As soon as we get done with the show, I'm watching that episode. I've heard good things about that episode anyway. So now I'm like, I actually know someone on there. I got to check it out.
It was fun. I mean, we never knew what was going on. And Kitty Rice, that was on the show, one of the Jocks Room ballots, he ended up getting, I think they donated so much to a charity for him, and he got to come to the Kentucky Derby. Kenny's a good dude. And so he just had a kind of a rough go there. And yeah, it was great to see some of the people they showcased on that show.
Very cool.
So do you get paid per watch? Because we're gonna have a lot of people going to watch that.
No royalties.
I was like, geez, yeah, I was kind of a little upset with that, but it is what it is. So I have the experience, and it will always be with me. Although it would be nice to get that $1.50 check in the mail whenever it airs.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have 100 people now. That's $250. There you go.
Yeah.
It adds up.
Yeah, $150. But yeah, either way.
Yeah.
Sean, what's up with you and the stats? Normally you're right on top of it. Come on.
Yeah, I was trying to give her an extra $100. It ain't my money anyway.
Yeah.
I'm all about making that money.
Amen, sister. Amen. Okay, so what would your advice be for someone who is interested in horse racing and has no idea how to get started?
I always say, come out, talk to people. As someone who hangs out around the paddock, I always tell people, I'm like, come on down, introduce yourself, let's talk, and let me see if I can help you out a little bit. If it's your first time to the racetrack, come out. And I think that's part of the ambassador role and being a paddock host as well. I want people to come down. I want them to talk to me. I want to hear, what they like about horse racing, what they need to learn about horse racing. And that's, I think, a good aspect. I like to walk around too in the crowd in between races. I'm like, hey, I was like, how's everyone doing? And then they're like, oh, Roxanne, we just played the exacta because of you. And I'm like, great. Although some of the trainers say I killed their price. I'm like, I'm sorry when I pick their horse. But it's great when they come back to me and they're like, we hit, thank you so much. And I'm like, oh, I love you. So, it's been fun to just kind of learn, and teach people about some of the great things that horse racing offers.
Awesome.
That just means the trainers that are mad at you for giving out the price, they're going to tell you how bad their horse is every time they run, so you don't play them.
You know. I had one trainer, it was funny. He had a horse run, and he goes, you're not going to pick me to win? And I said, well, I got you picked second. I said, I like another horse in the race. And so ended up, it ran the way I picked it. And so, but he was dead set, like even before the race started that day, he was going to win. And the filly had a lot of potential. And I'm not going to name names if he ends up watching this. But it was funny. After the race, I come out to do my next race, and I'm like, hey, did you see? And he's like, no. So I was like, so the next day he came up to me and I said, well, he's like, I took a lucky guess. I told him, and he goes, I didn't win because of you. I'm like, okay. That was my fault. So it was funny. That trainer in particular is a funny character, but yeah, it was my fault. His horse lost. So I'll chalk it up. So.
Hey, you're making things happen. That's good.
Trying to.
Awesome. All right. Well, we try to keep our guests to around half an hour. So, Sean, if you've got any last minute questions, get them in here.
All right. Well, my last thing is, what do you do for fun outside of horse racing when you have the time?
What do? I sleep. I take a nap.
That sounds fun.
In particular, like right now, with Super Derby, it's been few and far hours between days off or anything off. Just trying to get ready for this big weekend we have here. But usually, I mean, I'll try to make a trip up to the family in Arkansas. I got 2 amazing nephews and a little niece that love me to death. And so I always like to venture up and see the parents, the sister, and all the family. And then I spend a lot of time watching horse racing, y'all.
Okay.
You know, when you're in it, and it's hard to get out of it. So I do. I like to watch some of the trainers during our quarter horse meet. I like to see what they're doing down at Delta right now. And then like to see, you know, some of our friends that I've met along the way in this business and see what they're up to, how their horses are running. And that's pretty much my life right now. And trying to get caught up on laundry.
Okay. That part.
The
doesn't
never-ending
sound fun,
battle.
But, yeah.
What's your other favorite track to bet on besides Louisiana Downs?
Churchill Downs. I've had a lot of luck there. So they come back in September. I'm looking forward to it. I do like Keeneland. You know, I think it's a very tough meet to handicap because there's so many wild cards in those races. But those are my 2. And then I try to play a little bit of Oaklawn, obviously. Just that's my home track. And I like to see who's showing up and showing out.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, our fans absolutely loved you. I'm sure that they are going to demand that you come back on. And thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun getting to know you before the episode and then also during the episode. Make sure that you let me know when you come to Tampa.
You know it, girl. You're my first phone call.
Yay. All right. Well, you take care. Have a wonderful night and have a great weekend.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Oh, see, I knew she was going to be fun just researching the episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was like, this girl's great. Have you seen her TikTok? You got to check it out.
No, I haven't seen her TikTok, but we've talked before about guests and stuff, like I said, with Willie Laverne and his brother and stuff. And
yeah.
And then I finally was like, are you going to come on the show? And then we made it happen.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Sean, way to make it happen. You are the best. Absolutely.
No. Our guests are the best.
Our guests are the best. You're right. But I don't care what Rich says about you. You're awesome. All right, Sean, what else have we got going on?
Tomorrow, Kentucky Downs open. So it will be Rich. I know Tom's going to make a special appearance. And then I believe Charles for Kentucky Downs. And then they're going to come back Friday, Tom and Rich, to do Saturday for Kentucky Downs as well. So we'll be all over the start of the Kentucky Downs meet. We will be off Monday for Labor Day. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll have Horse Center. I'll be here. I don't know who the host will be, and I'm not sure who the guest will be yet. But that's why I always keep you guys. I always keep you guys informed on social media: the good, the bad, the ugly, and the fantastic. So at Horse Race Today, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, you name it.
Yes. And that social media has been popping lately, Sean. You are doing an amazing job, and I love it. You're keeping me updated. I feel like if I just hop on the Horse Racing Today feed, I know everything going on in racing in 30 seconds. It's great.
I always try to pick hey, Willie did good today, 2 wins in a second. I posted
absolutely.
that before we went live.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you for that. And thank you so much, Grandma Horse Racing. Yes, everything is okay. We didn't even ever lose power at my house. We had our internet go out for a minute, but then it came right back. And I mean, we're no flooding here, but right next door to us, 5 minutes away, one of our favorite restaurants is completely flooded. So it definitely hit the area pretty hard, but we just got lucky in our house. Thankfully, everything seems okay. So thank you.
It's over and done with, right?
Yeah, well, hopefully. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
It's still storming here a little bit, but I think mostly it's passed by. And Willie says, thank you. Yes, that was a great day for him. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so if you want to stay on top of horse racing, make sure to follow us on all the social media. Sean is absolutely killing it over there. He will keep you updated on all the exciting things going on in racing. Like he said, all the social media platforms, basically. Horse Race, the number 2 day. Oh, I don't know what this comment means. Up for Rich HRT. What does that mean? Don't know.
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know.
All right, wonderful. Well, we hope that we will see you on all of the social media platforms. We hope we'll see you tomorrow for our handicapping shows. But no matter what, we hope to see you in the
winner's circle.
Good night, everyone. Hey, there we go.